Hello, my name is BrynnMcneice and I'm a senior in the School of Social Work. My presentation is The Voice of Survivors of Sex Trafficking, Necessary Life Skills for Community Reintegration. In this presentation, I'm going to be expressing the importance of basic life skills being taught to survivors of trafficking based on my experience from my field placement, a survey, and stories. My current field placement is at Off the Streets, which is a certified homeless shelter for women with a history of trafficking and/or sexual exploitation. Off the Street states that our program utilizes a culturally sensitive, trauma-informed model to help survivors of sex trafficking find safety, recovery, and empowerment. Off the Streets recognizes the significant trauma victims have experienced and guides them on a path to a healthy and productive lifestyle. What is sex trafficking and why does it matter? Sex trafficking is a form of human slavery where victims are usually forced into sexual acts. Sex trafficking can range from being raped one time to being flown into a different country, branded and owned by your trafficker. Learning and understanding the life skills that survivors need will assist future programs, social workers, advocates, etc., to better help these survivors be able to reintegrate back into the community. What is the first thing you think of to help a survivor of trafficking? If you answered therapy, that is correct, but it's not the only thing they need. As important as processing and working through your trauma and mental illnesses is, learning basic life skills is just as important. Survivors often have never been taught or have forgotten how to do basic life skills such as laundry, grocery shopping, budgeting money, applying for a job, applying for housing or benefits, etc. How are these survivors supposed to reintegrate back into the community and live independently if they don't know how to? That is why this study is so important, because the survivors are not taught these skills and they may never be able to return to normalcy after their experience and trauma with trafficking. While talking with clients at Off the Streets, I have gained a very good insight of how much these survivors need to learn before they're able to live independently. For example, I have one client who said that they need to learn how to cook and grocery shop because, and I quote, "my pimp always cooked for me. I was never allowed." Therefore, she hasn't had to grocery shop or cook for herself ever. So she doesn't know how. So that's just one basic life skill she's got to learn before she's on her own. Another client stated that she really needs help with boundaries because she grew up with her mom always being hit and abused by her dad. And she said, "I grew up thinking getting hit meant he loved me." She doesn't understand that that is not love. The estimate of trafficking victims nationwide is 3.8 million adults per year and 1 million children for commercial sex exploitation. There is a major gap in the federal reported and prosecution cases versus how many cases there actually are. During the survey to figure out the needs that our clients at Off the Streets need, I was able to survey 20 participants with a median age of 40, 30% being African American, 5% Hispanic, and 65 Caucasian. The most important life skills were coping skills, creating boundaries, and budgeting money. Other top needs were how to maintain sobriety, safe housing, a stable job, and finding a solid support network. Skills that they said they needed to learn before integrating to the community. 75% said they needed to learn coping skills. 70 said they needed to create boundaries. 60 said they needed to learn how to apply for housing as well as budget money. 50 needs to know how to apply for a job, and 35% need to know how to apply for benefits such as Social Security, disability, and food benefits. There are some limitations with this survey. One being that the survey was done online, therefore clients did not know how to work my computer, and that was definitely a limitation that I had to work with each and every client. There is a lack of self-awareness of clients who don't understand that they need this. They think that going to the grocery store and spending your whole check on one grocery run is normal. So they don't understand that they do need to learn how to budget and they do need to learn how to effectively grocery shop. However, we had to keep personal biases, of course, out of the study. And then it was limited to just one agency with this population where there are many, many, many survivors and victims all around that would also be great input. Here are my references. My goal is to bring awareness of the importance of teaching basic life skills to survivors of trafficking. So I just want to thank you for listening and watching my PowerPoint.